Yeah, and we are live. So hello and hi everybody. Welcome on our 15th meetup of our initiative Agile with Ukraine. Today we have Aina as a speaker and a very interesting topic. Yeah, for those who is new to our initiative, first of all, we're gonna tell you a bit about what we're trying to accomplish and what we're doing, and then we're gonna give the microphone to Aina. Okay. So
Yeah, and I will share my
Artem,
screen.
go on.
Yeah, I'll try to do it a bit faster because more than half people, almost everyone here is not for the first time. But I want to share with you what's going on in Ukraine. And yeah, yesterday was a dark day because in Kramatorsk, Russia launched some missiles and they hit the railway station with more than 4,000 people there. A lot of injured and dead people, unfortunately. So everything is continuous and it go into a new phase, especially in eastern regions of Ukraine. And we want to continuously say that like Russia is killing civilians, the war is still going, and to focus people around the globe on really important stuff, not just Will Smith claps Chris Rock during Oscars, and not looks like don't look around. So sorry, we want to share a lot of not very pleasant pictures next. And yeah, it's Kharkiv Central Square. Kharkiv is one of the biggest Ukrainian cities with more than 1 in 200,000 population, and it's almost ruined. Like 70% of Kharkiv and Chernigiv is ruined. And today, the mayor of Chernigiv said that to rebuild and recover the city, they will need 3-4 years to bring it back in some normal way of living for people. So it's not just partially, not one building, but we don't have enough, time to collect all the pictures of almost the whole city. This is Mariupol. The city is under siege and fully blocked by Russian troops for more than 40 days, and still more than 100,000 people are inside the city, trying to hide somewhere in shelters in other places. Uh, but it's not so easy nowadays, and we don't know how to help them nowadays because we don't have many ways how to help. And I will go to the next slide. This is Kiev. It's only the second day of the war, and by the way, Russia still didn't declare a war to Ukraine. They call it special operation, special military operation, and it's just a residential building, 5-7 kilometers from city center, I believe. This is the biggest, largest transport aircraft Mria before and after invasion, and it was only one
Guys, actually,
such.
this building is 1.5 kilometers away from my house in Kiev. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a few kilometers from office where I worked for a few years. Uh, this is Igor Bilanov. He was a winner of Golden Ball Award in 1986, and now he's serving in Ukrainian territorial defense nearby Kiev city and protecting his land. So once he was one of the best football player in the world, and now he need to take a gun or rifle and to protect his land. This is one of the biggest in Europe shopping mall, just opened in Kiev last year, and now they need to rebuild it once again. Just nearby the flat of my grandma and the flat where I was grown up, in Vinogradar in Kiev. This is the newest business center. So totally different objects, but they don't care. They just launch missiles and rockets. Also in Kiev. This is Chernigiv, a new residential district for people who want to live in new flats, not those flats that were after World War II. Now they will live in flats after World War III in Ukraine. This is Bucha. I believe that you have read, see a lot about Bucha, but if not, you can use this hashtag and go there. But it's very bloody pictures sometimes. And this is what Yandex showed for a few days, but today Alona sent me a new update that now Yandex is showing like up-to-date pictures of Bucha. Yandex, for those who don't know, it's one of the biggest search engine for Russian-speaking people mostly, so it's kind of Russian Google. And you can compare how media work with populations, what they show and what pictures they want to build in their minds. This is Borodyanka. It's the next village nearby Bucha, so it's about 15-20 kilometers from Kiev city, from the capital. And half of the buildings looks like this one. So it's just one, but the whole village or whole city, I'm not sure, was ruined. People don't have place where to live right now and cannot go back because their house is probably like this. And this is Zahar. He's from Bucha originally, now is hiding on Zakarpattia. And he was living in Bucha in the building from which you can see the Hostomel airport with this aircraft, Mria. So he's seen helicopters and war airplanes of Russia in the first day when Mria was ruined, and he escaped with his family, and he's drawing our soldiers who should push out Russian army from Ukraine. And you can see more of such drawings on UA Kids Today project. It's initiative of whole Ukrainian online gallery for children drawing the war and what they think and what they feel inside. This is also one of my with wife initiatives. And this is Dobro Park, open air park nearby Kiev, 25 kilometers from there. And this is my daughter at the end of January, 27th or 25th of January. She's looking on the residence of Santa Claus, where we have written in, mail to Santa Claus with our wishes. And now it looks like this. So Russia invaders improve it to their everyday landscape they used to see. But we are not struggling, like crying, hiding from the world, hating everyone around. We're continuously working to improve our country and to bring it back to normal life. So this is people who already moving back from regions to their Irpin, Bucha, and helping local government and army to clean up the streets. And this is Ukrainian engineers, software developers who are working for many multinational companies, and they are sitting in shelter, as you can see, and make some continuous integration and deployment because we are very highly committed and courage people as a part of Scrum values, and we are planning to continue do what we can and how we did it before the war. And this was motivation for us with Andrei to create this initiative, Agile with Ukraine, because we want somehow to help Ukraine and contribute. And what we really know how to do is how to connect people who want to share their expertise, knowledge, and wisdom, and those people who like to develop their skills continuously. And that's why we're here on Saturday together with you, because you are such a people who want to develop themselves and support Ukraine also, probably. We hope so. And Aina, one of the speakers who want to share and have what to share. War is not so far, but we will stop it here. It's definitely our main goal, and we believe that it will be quite soon after Ukraine will win. For that, we need to support our soldiers and volunteers who go there to protect the country and democracy and freedom in the region, but also in the whole world, I believe. And to do it, we are collaborating with Uniters Foundation, and Andrei will tell you more about Uniters Foundation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Artem. So United Foundation is Ukrainian foundation, which was based here in Poland by people from Ukraine who are living in Poland. There are quite a lot of Ukrainians here in Poland, in Warsaw. And it was set up right after the first Russian aggression in 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and also started the war in Donbass. So since 2014, this foundation has been helping Ukrainian people and Ukrainian troops to protect our country. So as soon as war started, on like the full-scale war started on the 24th of February, the first cargo from Warsaw to Ukraine has left on the 26th of February. So it took them a bit more than 1 day to actually deliver the help already to Ukraine. And for a bit more than 1 month, they delivered more than 3,000 tons of help to Ukrainian people. It was food, humanitarian help, medical help, but also tactical equipment, which is very, very, very needed. So what we would like to ask you to do. So we have two goals over here. First is to, as Artem mentioned, is to connect people who want to gain knowledge and people who can give that knowledge. And Aina will help us with that. But second thing is that we want to help Ukrainian people, and the best way to help Ukrainian people right now is to actually to donate to initiatives like this. And why we're specifically collaborating with Uniters is because it's one of the fastest way ways how help can get to Ukraine, because those guys rock. If you're a fan of a time to market, their time to market is phenomenal. That's the best CI/CD I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. So there are a couple of ways how you can donate. So the hardest is the direct bank transfer, and all of the information can be found on our website. But also the easy and user-friendly ways is PayPal. Artem has already shared the links to PayPal, and also the Polish website zrzutka.pl. So thank you very much for attention. Remember to donate. Yeah, and we're giving the mic to Aina.
Yeah, and if you will forget to donate, I will spam a bit during the event in chat, so you will have a chance still. Aina, the microphone and stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. First of all, how do you hear me? Do you hear me well, or should I increase my voice and mic? Awesome. Thank you, guys. So before I start the presentation, thank you to Artem and Andrei for inviting me and being a part of this initiative, helping and supporting Ukraine. I'm a Ukrainian. I've been born and raised in Ukraine. I moved to Canada 7 to 8 years ago in 2014, when the first conflict, or I call it war, started in Donetsk and Lugansk, so in Donbass, if you are familiar with the Ukrainian geography. And now, unfortunately, it became much worse than 8 years ago. So I feel very much honored to support Ukraine and not just ask people to donate, but also provide some value for you guys, and hoping that you find my presentation valuable and can donate and support Ukrainian people who are in much worse situations than all of us here in this conversation. And Artem and Andrei, thank you very much for showing these heartbreaking pictures. I see these pictures every day because I'm Ukrainian, and my day starts by following the news and seeing if people I knew are safe and fine. And I know here, like in North America, people try to show compassion and empathy, asking me about how is your family. But right now, under these circumstances, all 45 million Ukrainian people are my family. So I worry not about my relatives by blood, but for all Ukrainian people, wherever they are. And yeah, I keep like seeing these pictures every single day, but again, it's never like been like stop being heartbreaking, no matter how many times I watch them. So for those who see this first time from us, not from youth, I hope you're not scared. You just understand the level of the conflict and help us to stand together and to fight this evil all together. So thank you very much. And let me start sharing my screen. Oh, guys, can you see the first slide? Awesome, thank you, Andrei. So welcome to the conflict resolution and negotiation training today. So first agenda, we are going to talk about ultimatum game, then go to the conflict and resolution of conflict strategies. Then we will speak about terminology, Bata and Zopa. And I know for us, like for Slavic language, Zopa sounds a bit funny, but we will see what it means. And then we will go to different styles and different personalities, like accommodators, assertive types, and analytics, and see how we're going to negotiate and resolve the conflicts with all of these three types. And at the end, we will speak about some negotiation techniques, like mirroring, labeling, opening questioning, and at the end, you will get a checklist what you're going to do if you want to become a better negotiator. So let's move on, and I'd like you guys to let me know on the chat by pressing plus or minus or yes or no. Are you familiar with the ultimatum game?
I have one question. Sorry to interrupt. Will you share the slides afterwards, or we should like screenshot, you know?
Yeah, I will share the slides later.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I see the first no. No. All right, so probably I will give a bit more explanation to this. And I do this training like on site, face to face, and also online. So it's much easier to explain when we do it face to face. So I randomly assign people, like pair of people, and one of them is a randomly proposer, and the second one is a randomly receiver. So I give $10 out of my pocket to each of the pair and ask them to negotiate. So again, it's just like random choice. I don't have any preference to tell who is the receiver and who is the proposer. So for example, if I take Artem and Andrei as example, I assign Artem as a proposer just randomly. So it means Andrei is a receiver. So I'm giving Artem 10 virtual dollars and ask him to negotiate with Andrei, proposing him some monetary value. So to make it easier, he can propose like even number like $1, $5, $9, up to $10 because he doesn't have more than 10. And he can propose like $0 to Andrei. But Andrei is empowered to give his final answer. He is empowered to take the offer or reject the offer. So the couple is considered winning if the deal is made. So for example, Artem proposed $5 and Andrei received this $5. So it means guys can keep the money. If, for example, Artem proposes like $1 and Andrei rejects it, so the deal is not made, it means I'm taking my $10 back. And I run this game many times virtually and on site, and all the time I had different answers, and some answers surprised me. Like I was surprised how people think and how people negotiate and what was the logic behind this. So, like one of the most like interesting answers, like one person gave all of the $10 to the receiver, and when they asked why, he told, because I felt like this person can be offended just by random choice, by the fortune that he has no choice to decide. So I just wanted to accommodate him and to make him feel better, and just gave all of my $10 because I didn't like work hard to make this $10. They just like was given to me by random choice from you. So I decided why not to make the other person feel better and give all of the $10. So the person received, and yeah, they made a deal. The other people were negotiating online, and one of these people were in Canada, and the other person was in Egypt, and appeared that $10 in Canada means like way less than $10 in Egypt. So when they started talking, it was during the lunchtime, like right now. So one of the people who was in Egypt told, I actually didn't have a chance to have my lunch or my dinner, and I feel a bit hungry. So they started talking about sandwiches. And when the receiver asked, what you're going to do with the money you have, the person told, I want to buy a sandwich. And it appears that in Canada, the price of the sandwich is like $7. And the price in Egypt is like $2.50. So they split the money equally, make sure that both of them can have the sandwich. So I have like many different stories of how people think, but the purpose of the game is to show you guys that humans are irrational. Humans are emotional, and they are driven by the word fair. So in the examples I tried to give you guys, people tried to make the game fair, and they thought the receiver is going to accept the money if I play fair game. I can provide my example when the instructor on one of my MBA courses played this game with us. So I was a proposer, and appeared that I'm quite a greedy person. So I proposed $4 rather than $5, because I thought this is my chance. The fortune unfortunately doesn't like me a lot. So this is one of his like less chances when I was fortunate to make a decision on money. So I decided to propose $4 because it was still like a good offer, and I expected the person to take it. So yeah, my opponent took it. So I got like $6. My opponent got $4. But again, I tried to accommodate. I tried to be at least a bit fair, but also thinking about my own interest. But again, what was the purpose of this? Humans think that they are rational, that they think like logically, and also they expect the others to think logically and provide like logical solutions while we negotiating. This simple game shows us that we have so many thoughts behind the simple rules, and none of them was rational or logical. If it was like a game between two computers, they would have zero emotions. So the proposer would propose $1 because it's better than zero, and the receiver would accept this $1 because again, it's better than zero. So no emotions, no understanding of what fair is, like nothing behind it, just pure computer way of thinking. $1 is better than nothing, and yes. Now the fortune is on my side, so I can keep $9 and propose just one because it's better than nothing. So you see how far we are from like, the logical thinking, and that's why I spent quite time right now explaining you this game to make sure that we understand when we negotiate. And I like the quote from Harvey Specter, who is the main character of Suits. If you watch Suits, you might recognize it. He always said, I play people, I play a woman, I play a man, I don't play odds. So he always played personality, he always played someone's emotions to have the best deal he could have. So let me move on to the next slide, go into the conflict resolution and negotiation. So first, let's look at 5 levels of conflict. So we see the first one is problem to solve, then we go into the disagreement, then we go into contest, and the next one is crusade, and the last one is the world war. So problem to solve, what it means? It means people have different opinions, they have misunderstanding, but they're still polite, respectful, and try to talk about problems, not about personalities, not about themselves. But the atmosphere is still comfortable, but we see that people disagree with each other. The next one is the disagreement. So it becomes a bit more tense. If you join the room during this disagreement stage, you might feel that like two parties feel a bit like tense with each other. It becomes a bit like personal protection over collaboration, and language is guarded and open to interpretation. So team members distance themselves from the debate. You might notice some vocal speakers, some quiet speakers who is like hard to address their opinion. So people start disagreeing with each other, but again, it's a disagreement. It's still like not as personal as the next stage. But for us, for project managers, for agile coaches, for scrum masters, or whoever is facilitating this conversation, it's important, like it's the first red flag that I need to pay more attention right now. Normally, we don't involve in this disagreement stage to see if the team can solve this disagreement by their own, but we need to be alarmed if they can't, and it's going to be the contest stage. This is where we need to jump in and help people to reduce the level to the disagreement stage. So the next one, contest, meaning winning over resolving. Language includes personal attacks. Language might say like some people in the room wanted to make this decision. So it's still kind of like not personal, but everybody understands when we say some people in the room who exactly the opponent meant when he addresses the issue. So it became like people want to win the conversation, win the argument, rather than see things from a different perspective, rather than looking for the solution. People started to take sides, like quiet people turn off the camera if we are talking on Zoom, like right now. Some vocal people start taking sides and kind of like protect the others, trying to resolve this conflict. But unfortunately, making it better is they are not professional facilitators. So again, winning over resolving. The language becomes, it was your fault last time since we didn't have a proper testing, for example. So now we have to resolve this issue again. So people start blaming each other and become like very offensive and rude. The other people, like emotional parties, might be upset. You can see that their faces become more emotional, their gestures become more emotional, they start protecting themselves. The others who is protecting side is different. They might like shut down. They might say like, okay, I don't want to communicate about it anymore, and keep like saying, oh, okay, like 3 times, but during the pause, they might again aggressively attack their opponent. It's another style of being defensive. So this is the level 3, the contest, and it needs our involvement as coaches, scrum masters, or any part of leadership we are playing in our team. If we can't resolve the conflict during the 3rd one, we are moving to the 4th level, which is the crusade. So protecting one's own group becomes the focus and language becomes ideological. So when I talk to people one-on-one, if they jump into the crusade stage, I hear quite often that the person says, but he was too aggressive, so I had to protect not just myself, I needed to protect the team. And when I ask, so who is the team? So he counted like 2 or 3 people in the team who he might like think on the same side with him. And normally it happens like when we have team members, we have developers, we have testers, we have leadership like myself, scrum masters, product owners, BSA, and the others who don't code. So in this case, like normally when the conflict starts, when the disagreement starts, when like, for example, developers don't really understand why it took so much time for testing, or like when the product owners start pushing to splitting user stories and developers becomes defensive. So when you ask who actually they mean by the team, they say, if I talk to the developer, he or she like counts the other developers as a team. If I talk to testers, they count like the other testers. And if I talk to product owner or BSA, they count people on the leadership side. So in this case, when I ask what to do, our like testers are not the team members. They're kind of like frustrated, confused a little bit, but this question actually helps to ground them and to help them to realize that it's not like one side over another. It's not like they protecting the team. These all people are like the whole team, so we need to find the solution because we work on the bigger task, not just on this small issue. And the last stage, which happens rare but still happened, it's a world war when people want to destroy the other. There's little or no language in exchange. They just want to be right no matter what. And unfortunately, this conflict might keep continuing. When the facilitator closes the room, bring people to different rooms. So in our culture in Eastern Europe, people might go outside of the building and keep conflicting there and nobody sees them. In North American culture, people can go to the private chat or to the private room and keep conflicting, or just like go into people managers or HR and complain about the other party, not constructively, but to just address the feeling and saying, I can't work with this person anymore. We need to deal something about it. So this is a world war stage, and us as negotiators, we need to make sure that people don't collaborate with each other for the next couple of days, otherwise it's going to be worse. So these are the level of conflicts, and let's spend a bit more time talking how we can help these people and what language we might use. So the first time, so we are trying the constructing and collaborative scenario, illustrating the competing issues and use the scenario to build consensus around a decision that everyone can support. We can say something like, I see your point, I understand the way you are coming from, but please hear me out. This is my opinion. I don't say that I am right in this case. Let's just brainstorm different scenarios and then find a consensus. I see Artur is raising his hand, so I will go through these 5 levels, and then Artur, you will be able to unmute yourself and ask the question. So the second level, disagreement. We empower the relevant team members to solve the problem. The approach builds the team member support for the decision, restores a sense of safety to the group. Again, as coaches, we observe the team. How can they storm during the disagreement stage? So if you see that they storm like for some minutes, but then somebody else jump in, and you see the leadership side from the developer, tester, or whoever we have in the team, we just like keep observing and then provide the comments at the end of the meeting, telling guys, we had quite tough debate during this meeting, but I noticed that you're quite a mature team and you can resolve the issues by yourself. So team always needs to hear the positive feedback and that they did something mature, and this is encouraging for them to keep this way of collaboration next time. If we are on the level 3, which conflict is accusatory, we need to accommodate people's different views. We need to jump in. Sometimes it's hard to make sure that people are hearing you when they keep talking to each other. So I hate doing it, but during this stage, I have to raise my voice and keep saying like, guys, I'm sorry, I apologize, please hear me out. I just want to jump into this conversation and address my views as a coach, as a scrum master, as a project manager, whoever. So I have to keep talking, raising my voice until they hear me and stop talking, so I can keep talking and bringing people to the same high level of issue, that we are the same team, we are working on the same problem, that people become over passionate about the subject. And since we are having this discussion, it means that people care about their work, which is much better. If they don't care at all, they care about the success. So we just became a bit more emotional than we're supposed to be. So kind of like calming people and bringing them to the ground. Also being like calm, maybe a bit passionate, but calm myself, because if the facilitator or like negotiator or collaborator is emotional themselves, it shows people like different stage of emotion. But if people see like the leader is calm, they kind of like calm down, and you have to keep talk until they breathe and kind of like keep the calm. Again, you need to read the audience. You need to know people. Some people just like burn out very quickly and they'll calm down quickly as well. So you might speak like for 5 minutes and see, okay, they calm down, they can collaborate. But some people, you still see like the emotions on their face. So you have to keep talking in your calm voice, talking about mission and vision, and like recommendation for non-experienced conflict resolutioners or like scrum master or leaders, have this speech prepared, maybe practice a little bit beforehand, have like handy mission, vision, sprint goals, or whatever you're discussing, and keep talking in a calm voice until you see that people more or less calm down. And then when you finish talking, address to the quiet team members who normally shut down the camera or don't participate. So ask for their opinion. And it's not like really like to gather their opinion, because they won't say anything. They would say, I agree with both parties, so I agree that this topic is important. They will see something like that. But again, we are given the break for like the storming parties to calm down, to look at themselves from the other side. And then again, you're telling, I understand this point of view, I understand this point of view. Again, just bring people together. And if they calm down, they might even apologize to each other and move not to the level 2, but sometimes even to the level 1 problem to solve. So this is how you can see that your conflict resolution style was successful. If you can't jump into the right moment to the contest level, it's going to be the crusade. So the team may need a facilitator to convey messages between the different parties. It happened to me a couple of times that people became like so upset of each other, so they just like dropped the call, and I had to call one-on-one each of them, telling that first, it's unacceptable for leaders to drop the call, and then secondly, to hear them out, hear how much upset they are, and prohibit them collaborate with each other for the next couple of days until like the next Monday. Definitely, we don't want people to storm on Friday. We want them to calm down and to refocus during the weekend. But during this like days, 2-3 days, I was a messenger. I heard their point of view. I heard that they still like each other. They see each other as professionals and like working with each other. This is just disagreement and kind of like providing these messengers that there is no hate. We just need to calm down. This is like the feedback from the other party. If you can accommodate it and feel better next time, all people will benefit, team members included, and there is just not 2 of you in the team. You also provide the toxic pattern to the team members, and imagine how would you feel if like the next day the other 2 team members, for example, drop the call or started accusing each other. So again, as I told you, provide messaging for the next couple of days until they fully calm down. Otherwise, it's going to be the world war, which we don't want to address. And now I can stop for this part of the conversation. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise them now.
Yep, the question is like, what should we do, for example, if the Scrum Master part of the one side of the conflict in team?
Just a small comment. He's a Scrum Master.
Yeah, but for example, yeah, there is a conflict and 2 sides, and the Scrum Master is on one side. So what should we do in this case?
So the Scrum Master is like normally a facilitator, and our job is not taking sides. And if we don't take sides, so we are not a part of the conflict. So if the Scrum Master is a part of the conflict, it means something is happening in the team that Scrum Master needs to take sides. Or if Scrum Master wearing different hats like project manager or product owner, so it means we need to clarify the Scrum Master role, first of all. But again, it's like a long-term plan. In a short-term Scrum, my recommendation is for the Scrum Master to distance himself or herself wherever she or he can, and look at this like level of the conflict and actually like why this conflict is existing in the team, and playing a facilitator role rather than playing a team member involved in the conflict. But again, I need more details. I need a specific situation why Scrum Master is a part of the conflict.
Thank you.
I'd like to follow up on that. My name is Femi. So let me give some background. So facilitating refinement, conversation is dragging, because a subject matter expert who is supposed to clarify a spike is not in that meeting and has not been attended, right? So as it's dragging, and the product owner is new, they don't understand the product. So I suggested, and the team accepted, that the product owner takes that particular spike offline, engage with the subject matter expert, and then come back and tell the team how she'll like that, the scope of that spike. Now, this product owner now tells her manager that that's what transpired, right? And her manager is saying, no, it shouldn't be that way. So in that kind of scenario where you're facilitating and you have facilitated a team decision that a senior product owner does not accept, how do you remove yourself from that process? And let the team, for example, decide, because the team has decided that that's how they want to do it. And then somebody from outside is saying, no, it shouldn't be that way. So to follow up on Arthur's earlier question, when you appear to be part of that conflict, how do you remove yourself from it and facilitate the solution?
Yeah, so let me rephrase. So I see that there is a conflict in the team between a product owner and subject matter expert. So the solution was to take the conversation offline, and now one of the external parties is unhappy about the solution provided. Am I right?
Correct. Yes, the SME is part of the team, but was not present in the meeting. So I just suggested, how about you go talk to this SME and come back and tell us, the team, how to approach that spike. And then she escalates it to the senior product owner who feels that approach is wrong. And so there's an emerging conflict around this whole process. So I'm thinking, recuse myself from it and let them sort it out. But then using this model, how should one approach it?
Okay, so the conflict came from the person who was absent during this conversation, and now he or she feels unappreciated that the solution was made during his absence. Am I right?
No, let me rephrase. So basically, the person that was absent was needed to solve that blocker, right? So because the conversation was dragging, I stepped in and I said, how about product owner, how about you take up this conversation with this SME, right? And then when you clarify it, come back at the next refinement and tell the team how to approach that spike. Product owner now tells the senior product owner that that's what the team decided, right? Senior product owner is now saying, no, it should be this way, that, you know, we shouldn't tell her to go find out the solution. We should invite, we should have done this, should have done this, should have done that. So that's the scenario.
So in this case, I would recommend to revise the agile principles and to go to the ground rules. Like, for example, if we decide that it's going to be a team agreement, and if the team agreed with this proposal, because again, like as a facilitator, I see like this proposal is the best case scenario for the current conflict. Just pause it for now, then take it offline and collaborate with the people who are needed. If someone is complained about it, so first we need to revise the agile principles with this person, and also to revise the agile principles with the team members and have the ground rules, and after the ground rules have the team agreement. So this situation happened, this is our lessons learned, kind of like retrospect on what happened, why people are unhappy about the solution provided, and without taking personal side, what did we learn out of it. And then when the team provides their thoughts and their opinions, and what's most important, their feelings about what happened, why some of them were unhappy about it. So then kind of like revise our team agreement and include this issue in the team agreement. And again, reminded people that we are agile, meaning we improve continuously. We learn from our situation. There is like nothing is failure until we learn something out of it. So this is our lessons learned. This is what we include in the team agreement. But again, it's never set on stone. We will have different situations. We will have different points for improvement. And it means if we didn't have like any like storming stage for a while, meaning we are stagnating and we stuck. And in future, like again, thank you everybody for their provided opinion and being open and transparent. And let's just move on and address that we are agile, and this situation showed us that we progress and we mature from the agile mindset.
I don't want to take a lot of over here, but remember also that Scrum Master isn't only the facilitator. This accountability has also other hats. And maybe it's a good opportunity for teaching and explaining, well, what would be the consequences of this decision. Maybe it's also a good opportunity to ask that senior product owner, and Artem has already written in the chat that having senior product owner already in the organization is actually one of the things you should pay attention to, and it causes a lot of frictions, right? And maybe it's a good time to also ask the senior product owner, hey, man, how do you think? What are the consequences of your decision?
Hey man, why are your role still exists in this organization?
Well, I wouldn't suggest asking that, because
that's going to World War.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this talk is about conflicts, you know, so I want to bring more.
Yeah, but my point is, remember also the Scrum Master isn't only about facilitation. It's also about teaching. Sure. It's also about coaching. It's also about mentoring, and sometimes it's also about taking action. So you have to feel which hat you have to put on yourself in various situations. I hope that helped.
Correct. It does. Thank you, Aina, and everyone. Cheers.
Thank you for your question, Femi. And you know, Artem, you just like brought the situation I had 2 weeks ago when people were on the level 2 disagreement side. So I kept observing them, and then one of the team members asked, "So why are you questioning us?" And it was a question to the product owner, and he was like, "Are you questioning my role? No, do you see my role is not valid?" So level 2, they jumped to the level 4 right away, skipping level 3.
You know, all my jokes were not jokes before. They taken from reality, so.
Yeah, so that was a joke. Don't do this, guys. Don't question.
This is, you know, this is not a joke. This is experience, Artem.
It is hardly earned experience.
but still very positively approached.
Yep. Then
Yeah, and
you know, like more senior you become, more memes you like.
Okay, Aina, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And just like to close this conversation, if like someone like ever question someone's role, this is actually like one of the like most like painful points for people, and that's why they react so emotionally about it. And when you try to resolve this conflict, again, it's hard to resolve because people might be very demotivated, saying if my role is not important, I won't do anything next time. It might take weeks to bring this motivation back to the people. So just like be very careful about questioning someone's role. And again, it takes a lot of messaging back and forth between these two people in the future. And people might apologize to each other and say, I was like too emotional questioning your role, but the damage is made. And it takes time for people to recover. Just be cautious about it. And let's move on to the next part, which is the negotiation, and just to make sure that we are on the same page. Negotiation is a process of communication in which the parties aim to send a message to the other side and influence each other. And conflict management is a practice of being able to identify and handle conflicts sensibly, fairly, and efficiently. And from Latin language, neg means not, and otio means leisure, so it's not leisure. So negotiation is a hard work, and facilitating and teaching is a hard work as well, even though like from the other side, it feels like the coach or the scrum master is just like sitting and doing nothing. Or like a coach is just sitting and observing, like, no, even if we are not participating, we need to monitor people, we monitor the emotions, we monitor the language, we identify and what level of conflict people are, and make sure that we are jumping into like right moment. And sometimes we play facilitation head, sometimes we are a teaching head, sometimes we are negotiators among our team members. So Latin language never lie, and it says that it's not leisure, it's hard work, and it's harder than it looks from the outside. So acronyms, BATNA and ZOPA. Again, let's use chat and let me know if you are familiar with these acronyms or not. Just send me plus or minus or yes or no. So plus from BATNA, minus, plus, minus. All right, so let's talk about BATNA first. BATNA is the acronym that stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. And let me provide this scenario. For example, I have a car and I am a seller, and I'd like to sell my car for $10,000 since I've done the research and see that this is more or less the best case scenario. I can sell the car I have, but also I need to be prepared for the worst case scenario if, for example, people are not going to buy it for $10,000 for like the next month or so. So how urgent I want to sell my car. or like what is the most important for me in this case, like can I wait for like another half a year, and what happens during this time? Will the market crash, or the opposite, I can increase my monetary value of the car? But anyway, whatever like scenarios I have, I need to prepare different scenarios. I need to have my best case, which is like $10,000 or plus if I'm lucky, and also my worst case scenario, which means like seller's settlement range. And we also have a buyer who wants the car and who find my car but advertisement or whatever, and they think that they can afford this car for $7,500. They might think that it's worth like $10,000, but maybe their financial situation is not as good to buy it for $10,000. So they're looking for the car in a range of $7,500, and this is like the maximum they can afford for the car. And their best case scenario, if they can negotiate my price to the $5,000. So this is the buyer's settlement range. So BATNA is the best alternative to the negotiated agreement, meaning that I have $10,000, for example, but this is my like best alternative. And this is a range of between like worst case, let's say it's $6,000 to $10,000. So this is my BATNA as a seller. As a buyer, his BATNA is from like $5,000 to $7,500. So this is his like best alternatives and his BATNA. And we can see this orange square between $6,000 to $7,500, which is ZOPA, meaning zone of possible agreement. So more likely, if I have a buyer and we negotiate, we will end up in somewhere like $7,000 or $6,500 if I am not the best negotiator. So these are what these acronyms mean. And what I found out teaching my clients that people don't do initial research before negotiating the sales arrangement, or before negotiating the salary, or before negotiating with the team. And the example, again, the recent example from my team, we had a problem. We needed to negotiate the deadline because it was sure for the team that we can't make what we already agreed during the quarterly increment planning. So we had like different scenarios in our head, like definitely we can't meet the deadline. So I propose to coach my team members before they go to the business side to address the problem. So definitely people don't like to be coached, and so they ignored my proposal and came to business right away. And then they came to me after telling that they failed collaboration with business. And when I start asking, so what happened there? This also, we address the problem that we don't have enough time to complete what we committed before. And then they asked, did you propose the business like anything? They told, yes, we proposed to take a developer from another team and just assign them to us, and business disagreed to do this. And then I asked, did you have like any other alternative scenarios, any other solution to your problem? So they stopped for a while, and then they told, this is actually the first time when we are thinking about the solutions to our problem, not just to the problem itself. And I noticed this is a cause in a business environment. People can be like great project managers, great scrum masters, great team members, but they don't prepare before come and talk to the external stakeholders, to like the high level stakeholders who are making the decisions. So they don't have like best alternative to negotiated agreement, and they don't have like best scenarios. So business told, no, we can't assign another developer because they see the big picture of the other 10 squads we have in the organization. They know that the other teams also have priorities and they are important for our stakeholders. So it's impossible, but they hear about this problem like the first time. So the misunderstanding is that the team wants the business to find a solution for them or instead of them, propose it to them, and they can decide if it works for the team or not. But business are busy people. They see the big picture, they supervise different departments and have numerous problems in their head. So they expect you to come to the meeting ready. And it's kind of like a negotiation. What is important and why it is important first, and then providing just the scenarios. And by providing like different scenarios, different like alternatives to the negotiated agreements, we can find ZOPA with the business. If we are talking on organizational level, we can find zone of possible agreement if we are talking about sales, cars, apartments, like whatsoever. And this is also a great approach of thinking upfront when we negotiate the salary, but it's another topic. I can speak hours and help clients to prepare to negotiate the salary. So I stop here for a while since we have other topics to cover, and I see Alona is raising her hand, so please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to double check if my understanding is correct. Looking at the graph that you have, do I understand correctly that best alternative to negotiated agreement is worse than the zone of possible agreement? So basically, if you are not finding the touch point in zone of possible agreement, best alternative sucks?
Best alternative is actually like this seller's settlement range from the worst to the best. And sometimes like my worst case scenario can be somewhere here, like at the $8,000. So it means there is no ZOPA and we suck.
So maybe then the titles are mixed up. So what it says, seller's BATNA is actually buyer's BATNA and vice versa?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now it makes sense. Thank you, because that was confusing. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I just noticed this. Sorry.
Yeah, as a QA, I was looking for the slide for last 10 minutes and like, wow, what's going on with my mind?
Yeah, I just keep telling about it like so many times, and I didn't pay attention that the slide is vice versa. Okay, anyone else before we move on? Yeah, I definitely need a QA to go through my slides.
So quick one, Aina. So in a conflict situation, and I know you're not always meant to negotiate in conflict, but if it was a conflict situation and you wanted to apply this, how would you, I suppose you need to find out what is important to the variables that are important to the rival parties, if you like. But how do you adopt this to resolving conflict?
Great question, Femi. So, for example, we have a conflict between a product owner and the developer. The product owner pushes the agile mindset and sprint planning and make sure that the stories we planned during the sprint are accomplished. So this is the product owner best alternative to negotiated agreement, that we have like 45 points velocity and it's done in 2 weeks. The developers are used to work in a waterfall environment. They don't want to switch their mindset to agile. They have like release dates, like quarterly release dates, and they don't care about the sprints, about 2 weeks intervals, about velocity or anything. So this is the developers' point of view. So in this case, we need to find a zone of possible agreement. And for example, for the product owner, like for a start, like for the next like couple of sprints, is to propose the experiment with the velocity and praise the team for like, I don't know, let's say like 65% of completion, and keep pushing the agile mindset and increase it to like 75 in like 3-4 sprints. For the developers, it's also find like some alternatives, like, yes, we are going to the Agile, we can't change it, but let's like go like small steps, don't push us to be adapted like to the like 2 weeks intervals like right away. So let's find a common ground, and as a facilitator, as a coach, as a teacher, you need to hear people out, to hear like why they're proposing this, what they are afraid about, because they're going to be like fear behind this conflict, like for sure, 100% it's going to be fear. For example, from the product owner's side, it might be that the stakeholders are looking for metrics, and the stakeholders are like still having waterfallish mindset and micromanaging, so they want the precise velocity and the precise like 100% completion of the user stories. So product owner is afraid of the stakeholders, product owner is afraid of like losing his job, and it's just like an example. What a developer is afraid of? The developer is afraid of being rushed to complete this stupid 45 story points and provide not the best, probably not like tested enough product, and which is going to cost the organization money, and then he is going to be blamed, and again it's a risk of losing the job. So again, by like listening to this example, we see that 2 people are scared, and 2 people are scared of the same thing by losing their job. So when you understand the fear, you can coach people how they can get an agreement without being scared of losing the job. With a product owner, maybe propose to collaborate with the stakeholders and propose the stakeholders alternative scenario, rather than like pushing the velocity, pushing 100% of complicity, showing like them demo and working product instead. For the developer, again, like Andrei and Artyom recommended, switch to the coaching side, switch to the teaching side, and seeing when they are in the good mood and accept to the new information, like maybe Friday or like whatever, they don't feel enough stressed. Just keep teaching them about Agile principles, and also make them like excited. Today we've done like 65%. Great job, guys. What about like pushing the antis to like the 67% next time? And again, it's like very personal, but when you understand what are the motives behind the disagreement, it's much easier for you to find the zone of possible agreement for these 2 people.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to preparing to negotiate competitively. So kind of like cover this a little bit first. What will I do if the negotiation fails? This is another question not many considered, and actually, as much you prepare, as harder for you to accept the scenario, like what if it fails. And I like the phrase that no deal is better than the bad deal, because first, both parties are gonna be upset about the bad deal. They are gonna be like frustrated about what happened, and then regret about it in future. So if you see like you can't find the proper scenario this time, just like close the call, or like close the conversation, make a pause, take it offline, like whatever. So if you see that it's going to be a bad deal, just close the call before you had this bad deal. It's easier to renegotiate, to have another meeting, another conversation, than recover after the bad deal and then have like numerous questions. So why did you agree the first time? So prepare for the worst scenario. So what will I do if the negotiation fails? Will I close the call? Will I postpone it? Or will I like, again, what is my best alternative scenario? What kind of like deal I can accept without considering it's a bad deal? So this is what important to think about before you go to the meeting and negotiate. And I had it, like I did it many times when I see like people don't have an agreement. I can't find like the core of what they disagree during the call. So as a facilitator, I just close the call, talk to people one-on-one. One-on-one people are more open, so they address their fears and their motives. Then you understand their motives, you gather people together, they start storming again, you already know their motives, you bring them to common ground. Identify issues. What do you need or want? What the other parties want? Determine if issues are dynamic or static. For example, transformation, agile transformation. This is a static issue. We can't cancel agile transformation organization. But what we can do, we can help you by providing teaching, coaching, one-on-one conversation, human empathy and compassion to transform to the agile and to make it slowly without making it so painful. Establish a negotiation range for each issue. What is your opening position or first offer? Reservation point, what is your worst case scenario but still acceptable? And at the end, what will you say to get the other party to move? And this is another valuable question. What will you say to get the other party to move? Because you need to know the personality. Remember that people are emotional, people are irrational, and what might work for one party might not work for the others at all. And you already saw different personalities of Artem and mine. So Artem is a QA, he noticed the details. So maybe like negotiating with Artem, you need to make sure that the details are right and the proposal is clear. If you negotiate with me, I would never pay attention to the details. So if you keep overwhelming me with the details, I will feel scared and I will want like run away, keeping in mind that no deal is better than bad deal. So just run away and wait until the better time to negotiate with you. And I had a call with one of my clients, and it was another scenario. So she is designer, like interior design. And when I asked her how she negotiates with the clients, she started like telling me the examples. And since she's an engineer, she started like the conversation by providing engineering solutions. Like, look at this square meters of the apartment. Like, we have like so much space here, so I can use these materials, these colors, place sofa like in the corner, and provide like different details, like materials, prices, whatsoever, which might work for one people. And she told like some people like fell in love with me, with my way of work, and they signed the contract right away, and given me the full scope and freedom to do whatever I like. But I feel like the other people are ready to run away, and I don't understand why. And when I heard her, like she had just like this one style of collaboration and negotiation with her potential clients. But there are some clients like myself who are scared of the details, who feel overwhelmed. So if you talk like more than 10 minutes with me about like the square meters, what you're gonna do in this corner and what materials you're gonna use, and provide me like 10 different case scenarios for the materials or like the colors or whatever, I feel scared. I don't want to work with you because I don't know how to do it. You overwhelm my brain. So what I recommend her to do, like there is different type like myself who are like dreamers, for example. So let's just start like dreaming with them. Like the way you need to approach me, just imagine yourself in the renovated apartment, like you see in the beautiful armchair, and you see even like providing the webinar for you, I'm sitting on this beautiful armchair. So kind of like relaxing atmosphere is important for me. And like imagine you're in the armchair looking at this beautiful greenish blue wall, watching your TV on the corner on the opposite side, and there are like birds singing from the balcony, or like whatever scenario you have to me. Don't overwhelm with the details. Dream with me, because I am a different part. So what will you say to get the other party to move? If you keep saying me details, no, you won't keep me to move. If you picture the end result to me, probably I will realize that you are the best interior designer, and I will keep working with you. And I gave you this speech to move on to another part of our webinar, to accommodators, assertive types, and analysts, how these people think and how we can accommodate them and collaborate if they are the opposite parties. Now let's look at accommodators. And I think just like listening to me, how I describe myself, you already might have an idea that I am an accommodator type. So for me, like whoever I talk, whatever I do, if I do webinars, I negotiate, I resolve the conflict, I facilitate, have a good time is one of the most important things. So time means relationship. Wherever I am, I build relationships, I build friends, I want to know people better. My goal is to be on great terms with my counterparts, and I love when people feel happy. So win-win is probably one of the best case scenarios for me, and build great reports without accomplishing anything. This is kind of like a downside of having this personality. I can be too empathetic, too compassionate to the other people party, and actually realize, oh, this person needs this more than me. Why not just like to give up? Sometimes it happens. And remember the example about the ultimatum game, when one person gave all of the $10 to the other party. So what he tried to do, he tried to build a great rapport. The opponent feelings were like important to him. So he lost all of the money, but he made sure that he still remain friends, even if they can't reach the agreement, and build the rapport and make sure that the other person won. And yeah, the other downside, we are poor time managers, and sometimes I have questions on this part. So it doesn't mean that we are going to finish this webinar later than we expected. Yes, with me, definitely I'm going to finish something later than expected, because I can jump into providing different scenarios, different examples, and forget about time. So we are social, optimistic, sometimes distractible. Another thing I kept working and keep like working on myself, lack of preparation. So today I tried to prepare myself. I practiced the speech a couple of times, but I forgot to overlook at the slides, and we see the results. So typical accommodator. And what scares us is silence means anger. So if I negotiate and the person keeps silent, it means to me, like, first reaction, that I said something wrong. The person is offended. They don't have enough words to express their feelings. So I try like to keep accommodating this person, providing like different scenarios, different examples, asking if they need like coffee or tea, like whatsoever, because my, again, initial reaction, this person is angry. So if you are an accommodator like myself, so stick to your superpower of being likable. Don't forget about your objections. Don't sacrifice. You remember why you are negotiating. You're negotiating for yourself, for your team, not for the other party. And keep forcing yourself to prepare if you just like started and have problems with that. Assertive type. The different type of personality, for them, they want getting it done, and time means money. So they don't spend much time on small talks. They just like jump into the conversation right away, get to the point. And if the opponent is silent, for them, it means you want me to talk. It means you're silent because you don't have enough details. It means I want to provide more information for you. So this is kind of like a trick with assertive type. If you want them to speak more than they provide to you, remain silent, keep longer pauses, so they will keep talking. Their goal is to win above all else, often at the expense of the others. Focus on goals rather than people. Give me an inch and I will take a mile. They want to be heard and to be right. So again, if you see that the person in front of you is assertive, accommodate them a little bit by addressing that they are right, and you hear them out and you understand their point of view. So they don't care about future interactions. So making you as a friend is not their goal. They just want to get this conversation done, to get what they want, to take a mile instead of the inch, and move on. So their style is direct, aggressive, and candid. And what works with them, mirroring technique, I will talk a bit later about it, labels and summaries. And if you are an assertive type, the advice for you is be conscious.
Пам'ятаєш мемчик там, де типу чуваки труну несуть і танцюють, типу.
Sorry.
Бачила вже чи ні?
Mute yourself.
Thank you for the reminder of a nice meme, but we would ask you to mute yourself. Yeah.
I did it already. I was too assertive,
Okay.
but I believe it was just in time.
Yep.
Thank you. First, I thought it's a question, but then I realized just somebody didn't mute themselves. Oops, sorry. So if you are assertive, just be conscious of your tone, because again, you try to get this done, but when you try to get things done, your voice became a bit aggressive, and for accommodators or for analysts, you might seem like aggressive and angry about them, and they might not recognize that you just want to get things done. And the last type is analysts. So for them, getting it perfect is the key. And again, one of the examples during our planning, so we have one tech lead, and he had to play a role of a product owner, and he's like pure analytical type. So for him, writing ideal user stories was the key of the planning session. And definitely we were able to write just 3 story points during the whole planning session, and then get another meeting and another meeting to write the stories, like to fill in the next couple of sprints. So us as facilitators, so we need to remind that working software is not perfect software, and what is our acceptance criteria. So perfect user stories, sometimes it's not the case of the success of the team. So time means preparation. If they get silent, it just simply means they need to think about it. Their goal is to get everything right, and they want as much time it takes to understand everything and get it right. So if you give them like another piece of information, it means they will get silent, and they need to reevaluate everything again in their head. So plan your conversation if you know that you're going to collaborate with like pure analytical side. Like, keep in mind that it's going to take like longer than with assertive accommodators. And if you keep giving them a new piece of information, it needs you, they're going to like start like reevaluating the thinking process in their head and start negotiating from scratch. So when you build your pitch, be aware of how many new pieces you are having in your negotiation strategy and what order you are giving them. Bad idea, ask them many questions and ask to open upfront, because they're people like who normally say like yes or no, or provide analytical answer. Unlike us accommodators, if you ask us simple question, yes or no, I will give you a personal story, I will give you a story of my teammates, ask you about your story, and then forget where we started. So the way they collaborate is the distant and cold speech. And advise, humanize yourself a little bit if you recognize yourself as an analyst, because some people might see you cold without understanding that it's just like your type. You are not emotional type, you are not an accommodative type, you just like want to make sure that everything is done right. But for some people, you might seem a bit cold. And there are some questions on how to recognize this type of people if you start a negotiation with them. And since you will receive the slides, I want to stop on them right now. We will move on so you can study it later after this conversation. So as promised, mirroring technique and why strategy. So like normally, like classic mirroring technique means repeating the last 2-3 words of your opponent. But sometimes it's not just like last 2-3 words. What I would say it's like 2-3 key words of their sentence. For example, when I was a secretary and my boss asked me to print 6 reports, so he told, hey, Aina, could you please print 6 reports of this topic within the next hour? So the 6 reports weren't like the last 2-3 words, but they were like 2-3 keywords. So I told, you want me to print 2-3 reports? So it was like an open question. I even didn't like jump into why strategy. I just like mirrored him. He told, yes, I want you to print I want you to print 6 reports because I have a meeting with, let's say, the external stakeholders in the next hour. So I want to make sure that they are ready about the content. So in this case, I repeated his like last sentence. So you want to make sure that the stakeholders are ready to, you want to make sure that stakeholders are ready to the next meeting. And he told, yes, I want to make sure that they know what we are going to talk about. So like making my manager relax and identifying what he wants, I start negotiating, because first, I was lazy to print 6 reports because our printer didn't work properly, and I knew they're gonna like dance around this, like hit from one side to another, make sure that the paper didn't stuck, and do all of this work I didn't want to do. And the other thing, I became an environmentalist at the time, so I was cautious about the trees as well. So when I saw that we built the report with my boss, and this is the goal of all of these techniques, to build the report and then pitch your idea. So I asked if he wants people to be aware of the content of the meeting. Wouldn't be an alternative idea just to send them these reports by email? And he told, I'm not sure if they're gonna read these emails before the meeting. And then I proposed, since there are like just 6 people, I can call them personally, which again, it saves much time compared to printing from our unsuccessful printer, and make sure that they receive this email and it's urgent and they're ready. So he agreed, and that's how I negotiated to save some lives of the trees, to save time for me, and not to do like any repairment work for the printer. And remember, like again, when we're doing some techniques, people want to be understood, accepted, not judged, and listening is the cheapest, most effective concession we can make to get here. And if the person is assertive, remember I told they want to be heard and understood. This is kind of like pleasing their egos. So by repeating their phrases and trying to understand them, you're showing that you understand them, their offer is accepted. This is just like a better alternative. And again, like time is money for them. And if your offer saves them time or money, why not to do it? And focus on the issue, not the person, but don't play odds, play people, as Harvey Specter told, as I told you before. And I know like when I do these conversations and presentations on negotiation and conflict resolution topic, people want to hear about technique and tools I use like right away. And that's why I put this funny slide, like a fool with a tool is still a fool. So I understand people first, understand their desires and what drives them before using any tool. Why strategy? It's a kind of alternative to the mirroring technique. Just keep asking why you do it. For example, when my director told I want you to print the 6 reports, I might say, so why do you want me to print this 6 reports? And again, you see the combination of here, like why, and repeating his words. So he would expand in his idea, you expand compassion and understanding, and then provide the alternative one. Labeling technique, again, based on what I told, people want to be understood. And people are emotional and irrational. So there is like always like some pain behind like any conflict or negotiation. So if you identify their pain, it will help you to build the rapport. But unfortunately, not many people are good at emotional intelligence. So sometimes you label someone's feeling wrong. And again, my personal example, I spoke with a coach who is American and never been in Ukraine and never like experienced the war in his life. So when we talked about why I am overwhelmed and why I want to drop some of my projects and telling what's happening in Ukraine, he tried to label my feelings. So he told, I understand you are worried about your country. And this was like totally wrong labeling, because I wasn't just worried about my country. I tried to help my country. I started running 3 fundraising and collaborating with people who are in Ukraine. So I was like actively participated in what is going on and actively help, not just like worried. So this might like piss your opponent off if you identify their feelings wrong. So if you are not sure, you might say, it seems like you feel worried, and then the person will address their feelings like to yourself. Or like in my team example, I talked to one of the developers, and again, even like having like good emotional intelligence, I kind of like understood that he feels like scared. But to address to someone, hey, I understand you feel scared, I wasn't sure that he realizes that he feels scared. So before addressing it like to someone upfront, I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page. So I told, it seems like you feel frustrated. And he told, no, I'm not frustrated, I'm scared. And I was like, yes, he understands, we're on the same page. And then I told, yes, frustrated, probably not the best word. Thank you for letting me know how you feel. I really much appreciate that addressing your fear. It's already a big word. So again, we'll label the feeling, and we moved on to coaching, to teaching, and to negotiating the approach with how we're going to work together. And just remember, labeling doesn't mean judging. We are labeling to help people, not to judge for whatever they feel. And the last comment, you probably know some like cheap marketing techniques when they are taught that people are more agreeable when they say like yes 3 times or like 5 times. So don't do it. First, it's annoying, and especially if you are not a professional, you might like all of you might hear some questions like, hey Andrei, for example, do you drink water? And you like, yes, I drink water, but how it makes me feel? It makes me feel like I can't say no because this question that doesn't relate to the conversation. And then another question, hey Andrei, do you breathe air? And like, no, I'm a fish, I don't breathe air. I live in the ocean. Like, what kind of like alternatives you might given me? So like having these 3 questions in a row when you're forced to say yes, you just feel annoyed and like finally want to say no, even you are like ready to say yes before. So don't go to this like cheap marketing strategies. And again, that's why I don't like teaching techniques right away until we understand our feelings, understand our opponent's feelings, understand like labeling and making sure that we can control ourselves first and also can influence the others, and only after that go into the techniques. So again, if you let people say no, like upfront during like the first 3 questions, they might feel relaxed and trustful. So yes, this person understands my point of view. I said no, this person is okay. And again, no is just a conversation to yes, it's no right now. How can I make it to have you say yes? And my favorite quote from Dale Carnegie, personally, I'm very fond of strawberries and cream, but I have found that for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So when I go fishing, I give the fish worms, not the strawberry jams. Very simple quote, but keep in mind before collaborating with someone else and your checklist. So know your style, know if you're accommodator or assertive type or analyst or like mix of them. Identify your counterpart style. Prepare again. Get ready to take a punch, meaning if negotiation goes wrong and what you're going to do about it. Control your emotions first, control your anger or fear or like any emotions you feel, and don't get others to involve you in the conflict if you're a Scrum Master or coach and you need to remain facilitator and like stay outside, because if you are involved in conflict, it means like who is the person who's going to resolve it. And prepare at least like 3 offers, 3 alternatives if you go to talk to business, if you go to negotiate your salary or like whatever negotiation issue you might have. Prepare different alternatives, at least 3, and remember about your BATNA. And that's all from me, just like a slide about the literature, the movies for the weekend, if you want to know more about the negotiation. And I am done not very much out of time. So you see, I'm prepared. I'm getting better as an accommodator. And back to you guys, Artyom and Andrei.
Okay, thanks a lot, Aina. It was valuable. It was interesting. We have time for some questions, but not a lot. Let's maybe make max 2 questions. Okay.
Aina, that was a great presentation. Well done. Really, really valuable. Just a quick question. You know, in labeling, and I know you said about being emotionally intelligent. How do you ensure that when you're labeling, you don't apply the wrong label or apply a label that can trigger the person off?
Yeah, so if you are not sure what the person is feeling, you might just address like on the high level. I understand that it's not easy for you. So this is a safe statement, because if we are in the conflict, it means it's not easy. So the person will agree on that and might provide you like some information. Yes, I feel like frustrated doing this. So the person already like labeled himself. So then you provide some compassion as well. Yes, I understand your level of frustration, because it also like not easy for me. If the person didn't express their opinion, as I told you, you might use the safer phrase like "it seems like" or "it sounds like," based on your tone, and again address. It might feel wrong, and especially like with the people who have accents like myself. Many times people assume that I am angry, but I am just like get emotional, and my Eastern European barking accent becomes even stronger than it is like normally. So it's like wrong labeling. So again, like try to accommodate first, like I am trying to get your perspective. So from what I've just heard, you sounded like you disagree with me, or you sound like you feel a bit like worried or overwhelmed. Now, when you prepare this like ground before addressing, yes, I understand that you are worried and I'm not worried, so you piss me off. But if you say you sound like you are worried, I might agree with you. Yes, I sound worried, but it's not just what I feel. I feel frustrated, I feel emotional, I feel pain about Ukraine, I feel overwhelmed, I feel that I don't do much as I can, I feel egoistic, I feel selfish, I feel that I'm here in Canada safe and have enough food at the same time when my Ukrainian peers are hiding into the subways. So just like saying you sound worried, or like based you just told, I understand you might feel worried. You see, I gave you the whole speech, what I feel. And when I address what I feel, you might take like 1 or 2 adjectives and build a rapport with me using like what you feel like most important.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Femi.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question? Okay, it seems like we don't have any. So, Aina, thanks once again for a great presentation. Thanks everybody for participating. Remember to subscribe to our website. There are going to be a lot of more fun and valuable stuff coming. Remember also to donate. And on Monday, we will have Kate Hobler, who will tell us about the differences in leadership of President Volodymyr Zelensky and, you know, the other guy. It's gonna be fun. So thanks a lot and see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great Sunday and hope to see you on Monday.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Tuesday.
you, everyone. Thank you, Aina.
And Wednesday.
Thank
And
you.
And
Thursday.
Thursday.
I've got to work for a living.
We will leave you next Friday.
Yep.
So have
Bye-bye.
you updated the schedule for next week yet?
Yep. It is already on our website.
Oh, okay.
See
Okay.
you.
Cool. See you.